Welcome to the professor. This is the channel that keep you abreast of what's going on in the matter of Eddy, the United States versus Eddy Alexandre. There isn't much to report on the criminal case. Of course, like I said before, the criminal case will take a long time before it gets to trial. So meanwhile, from now until next year, it's just a matter of procedural stuff that the court and the parties are going to be engaging. But I have some interesting development with regard to the civil case. Now, if you have not watched any of my video, there are two cases pending. One is a civil case by the Federal Trade Commission against Eddy Alexandre and EminiFx. There's also the criminal case, which is certainly being prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan. But today, I want to talk about the receiver and what's been going on in the case. From the beginning, I have been talking about this case, and quite frankly, it is a fascinating case because of the amount of money involved, $250 million that the Haitian community invested in EminiFx, and certainly most of that money will be lost, if not already lost. However, I have made a video about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. In the video, I spoke about the fee that accumulated from the time the receiver actually was introduced in the case, sometime around May 12. So the fee for the last 90 days was about close to $1 million. This is the fee that the receiver charged for all the work investigating and selling some of the assets of EminiFx, and then keeping that money supposedly for the investors. So now, when I spoke about it, one of the things that I said, and I said this very clearly, and I know some of these people that I'm going to talk to you about today, I'm sure they've watched my video. I'm sure that they've heard what I've said. In the civil case, the receiver wanted $1 million for work that was done for 3 months, okay? Now, whether that amount of money is excessive or not is not for me to say. But what I have said earlier, and I'm glad that Judge Caproni said exactly to those people what I have been saying. I have said that the receiver was appointed to specifically go around and find all the assets of EminiFx, whether it's capital, money, whether it was investment, whether it was property, get all this asset, and some of them that they may have to liquidate or they may have to sell, which they have already done, and take that money and eventually distribute that money to the investors once the case is over. But there is a fee for that. In other words, the receiver doesn't work for free. The investigators, the people that he's employed to work for him, is not going to work for free. So, but the money to pay them, it's going to come from the investors' money. It's going to come from the asset from EminiFx. So now, how the receiver spend the money, it's another question altogether. But however, this is what I find fascinating. I have said before, okay, if there are investors who are concerned about how the assets are being used, okay, they have the right to intervene in the case. And I have said that if I was an investor, I certainly would have hired a lawyer to represent the interests of the investor, to look over the money, to figure out how much of it it's being spent by the receiver, and whether or not there are ways that we can try to keep as much money for the investors as possible, instead of spending a lot of money, but try to put a cap on the amount of money that the receiver could spend. The only person that could do that is a lawyer who would represent the interests of the investors. Now, I don't know who advised these people, and I'm going to read a name. There were a whole bunch of people who actually wrote letters to Judge Caproni. And some of those letters are just unbelievable. I mean, some of it were letters that actually somebody were form letters that somebody typed something and had people put their name and they, in some instances, their addresses and so on and so forth, where they live, and send it to the judge. Certainly, all of those letters, the judge just stricken them out, were all stricken out of the record. So in other words, the judge is not considering any of the letters. Now, this is what the judge said in the order, and this is what I have been saying to people, and I don't even understand why the community is just, people are not listening. For whatever reason, I don't get you guys. I don't understand. If you're an investor of EminiFx and you were one of the people that actually wrote a letter to Judge Caproni, I can understand why you lost your money. Because I hate to say this, but stupidity is not a good thing, especially when you have someone who's telling you what to do and how to do it, and you decide to do something totally different. I mean, guys, if you're an investor from EminiFx and you listen to this video, okay, you've got to be smart if you want to get some of that money back. If you're going to get involved, you have to know what to do. You can't just decide you're going to write letters to the judge. First of all, those investors, and first, before I read the order of the judge, before I tell you what the judge said, I want to read the name of the people who actually send letters to the judge. There is an Augustin family who probably send, the entire family send letters. There must have been 12 or 15 letters from just one family who sent letter to the judge. But however, those are the people who certainly, very obviously, they are all investors of EminiFx, and they did send a letter to the judge objecting to the fee that the receiver is charging. So those are the names: Jean-Richard Antenor, Lola Setout, Jean Apparent, Edwin Saint-Elny, Jean Toussaint, Joseph Victorin, Hippolia Marius, Fran Jean-Baptiste, Marie-Paul Delva, Mampaline Townsend, Sharon du Brésil, Petitor Antonius, Annette du Brésil, Hermana Pascal, Rodna Milor, Annerine Jean-Pierre, Chadley Obas, Liliane Casimir, K. Honaré, Serge-Louis Joseph Cadet, Luce Castor, Géverdi Boyer, Myrta Benjamin, Schnadel Pierre, Augusta Vixama, Sébastien Parent, Jean-Paul Derrick Copin, Yvette Setout, Valérie Pascal, Berly Célesti, Ketli Jean-Baptiste et Clotilde Nazaire. Bon, ça c'est un peu moun. Those are some of the people who actually wrote letters to the judge objecting to the fee of the receivers. Certainly, all of these letters were stricken from the record. Because, guys, listen, you cannot just write a letter to a judge objecting to something in the file if you're not part of the case. You guys are not part of the case. That's not how you become part of the case. And I have said to you before, if you are an investor, you want to protect your interests, you then have the right to retain an attorney to intervene legally in the case to protect your interests. You can just have people write letters. I don't know if it's Alexandre or someone from EminiFx who actually told these people that it was okay to write letters to the judge. Those letters has been thrown in the garbage can. This is where they belong, basically. This is what the judge did with it. The judge just throw it in the garbage can, just stricken it from the record. Don't want to hear about it. Now, here's what the judge said, okay? And I want to look at the judge order. Now, in regard to the letters that some of these people whose name that I just read sent to the judge told them, and which is what I've been saying, that if the investor, and this is from the judge, this is not from me, this is from the, I'm reading from the order of the judge. Judge Caproni, Valérie Caproni said in her order, she said, quote, if the investors wish to intervene in this matter, they must refile their letters with a motion to intervene, stating the ground on which they wish to intervene. Okay, what does that mean? That means that when there is a case, especially a civil case, you're not a party to the case. Okay, you don't have an attorney representing you. You can just write letters saying I object. No, you don't have the right to object to nothing. If you want to intervene, okay, most of you, none of you would be able to do this the right way if you're not an attorney with the skill to do it. So what you have to do is, and I think the judge kind of said it in her order, somewhat, indirectly. The judge said, if you want me to consider your letter, file a motion to intervene. In that statement, file a motion, what the judge is basically telling the investors, go get yourself a lawyer, have the lawyer file the motion, and then the lawyer, who's obviously somebody who knows what to do, will write a motion, and we would explain your position, would explain why you object to the receiver. But you can just write letters and say you object. It doesn't work that way. That's not the way it works. So I'm going to say this again, and this is all free advice. You guys are not paying me for it. You should just be happy there's somebody like me who's educating you on things you know nothing about. So listen good, okay? Now, the people that wrote this letter, and I'm speaking to them. I don't know if they watch my channel, but I'm speaking to Mita Benjamin, Karine Jean-Baptiste, Yvette Setout, tout le monde sa qui écrit, all the people who wrote letters to the judge, okay? Get together, okay, all of you. There must have been at least I think the last time I counted about 20, 24 people so far who've written letter to the judge. I'm sure there are more, but all of those letters that the judge received late last week, all of these letters were stricken out of the record. They were not part of the record, not being considered. There were some other letters that came in this Monday, and those letters also will be stricken by the judge. They're not going to be part of the record. There's absolutely no consideration. Now, if you want the judge to consider your argument, if you want the judge to consider your position as an investor, listen good to what I'm telling you. All of you should get together, 20, 25 of you, have a meeting, find a lawyer with the experience, hire that lawyer, and have that lawyer file a motion to intervene. That motion will be granted by the judge because you as an investor have a right because it's your money. But that right would not be recognized unless you follow the proper procedure, which is something that Haiti should not like to follow, procedure. But you have to follow. This is in Haiti. This is the United States of America. You're going to have to follow it. So you hire your lawyer, get your lawyer to go to court, get him to file a motion to intervene. And then when he files the motion, he can tell the judge why he objects. In fact, he can even challenge the receiver. In fact, I really believe that the investors could potentially find their own receiver. I mean, they don't necessarily have to go to the court receiver. Obviously, it's their money. So they could say, hey, I want to replace this receiver by this other receiver. They can do that. They can make a motion to do that. And they have the right to do that because the money we're talking about, it's money belonging to the investors. So I've said it before in a prior video, and I'm saying it again. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I don't know, maybe I ought to speak Creole so that everybody understands. So I'm going to do another video about the same thing in Creole so that people can understand exactly what I'm saying. That's what you got to do, because you guys didn't need the judge to tell you, because if you've been watching my video, you would have learned a long time ago. That's how you intervene. So you do have a right to intervene. You do have a right to protect your interest and your money, but it must be done the right way. The right way to do it is to hire an attorney. So after all, the letter that was sent to the judge, I have read some of these letters, and I think they are form letters. Actually, somebody typed the letters and then asked someone, for example, like this woman, Schneider, who's a diplomat nursing, she said, and she lives in Florida. And she basically signed a form letter that kind of say that she object to the fee that the uh, the receiver is charging, and she think that the receiver, I don't know, it's all crazy. So I might as well not read it. So it's just very embarrassing. Let's put it this way. Okay. So anyway, this is what I have, guys, for you in the civil case. Certainly, I will wait for Judge Caproni to strike out the other letters. And please, if you're a member of EminiFx and you are close to Eddy Alexandre, stop doing nonsense, guy. Come on, it's embarrassing. Stop telling investors to write letter to the judge, and don't do that. That's not going to help the case. That's not how you help yourself. This is not how you help your case. This is not how to do it. So writing that letter is really not going to help you. You need to lawyer up. You guys need to get a lawyer. You need to send that lawyer to court and get that lawyer to represent your interests. All right. So I am happy that you turned to the professor's channel, truth be told. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. In the bottom of the screen, you'll see the button to subscribe. Please subscribe. And if you subscribe, every time I put on a video, you will get notification that the professor just posted a video, and you will learn what's going on in that case. And of course, like I said before, with regard to this case, there's two cases, the criminal case and the civil case. If you haven't heard it from the professor, you haven't heard it, because I will tell you exactly like it is. Some of you may not like what is being said, but the truth will set you free. So I would always tell you the truth about what's going on. All right. So thank you for watching, and look forward for another video updates on the EminiFx case. Thank you.